good morning. Welcome to class. So the past couple of days we've been talking about experimental design and the scientific method. Whenever you are thinking about an experiment, you need to know what you want to study and how you're going to measure it, right? So we call these two factors variables. One is the first one, the independent variable, is what you are changing. You have control over it. It's independent. And the second variable is the dependent variable, and that's what you're measuring. So if we have an experiment, it could be looking at an everyday effect. So if you're running in gym class and you want to see how speed affects your change in pulse, we have two variables. Can anyone tell me what would be the independent variable? What would you be changing? Your speed or your pulse?
Your pulse.
You'd be changing your pulse? Can you physically say,
No,
I'm going to make my pulse
Your pulse
60?
would be changing as you increase your speed. So your speed is your independent and your dependent is your...
That's perfect, Kelly. So the dependent variable is always what you're measuring. So how can you measure pulse? Is there a way to measure that? Have you guys seen a doctor do that, right? Where you hold your wrist and you count? So that's the dependent variable. It depends on how fast you're running or how you're feeling that day. Sometimes when you're feeling sick, so the doctor checks your pulse. So in science, when we're doing experiments, we always have two variables. The first one is something we're controlling, and then we're seeing what the effect is on what we're measuring, right?
Right.
So to try out this experiment we're going to do today, let's see the effect of pulse that we just talked about.
Okay.
Kelly's going to do, she volunteered, so she's going to do 5 push-ups, and we're going to compare the pulse before and after. So then...
I think she should run around the room.
or to run around the
I
pulse.
always measure my pulse from here.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Okay. Well, we don't have to actually time it, but yeah. Okay, so she measured her pulse, and it was, what was the pulse? It was 60. And now we're going to... she's going to run around the room and do push-ups for a minute, and then we will measure her
Some
pulse
jumping jacks too.
a second time and see the effect.
Run around the room.
Okay, and go. Or just once, and then it'll come back, and I'll cut it out of the video. Okay, that's good. If you want. Great, that's good, Kelly. And now she measures her pulse again, and it is 75.
Oh, Kelly.
Yeah, 75.
Thank you.
So here we see the experimental design in action right here in the classroom. So did you guys notice that one variable, which is activity or physical activity like running and speed, that is what we're controlling. So what variable would that be? The variable we're controlling is the independent variable, right? When we're graphing, you put the x variable on the x-axis because this is the ground level. This is what we have control of.
Independent variable.
Independent variable.
Yeah.
And then what we're measuring, what did we measure in this case? Pulse, her heart rate. That goes on the y-axis. It's like there's a ground level, what you have control, and the y-axis is what you don't have control over. You're just measuring that. It's up in the air. So that's how you can remember x and y-axis. And independent pairs with x, dependent pairs with y. Yeah?
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for a quick exercise, can we come up with maybe two more pairs of variables that we could make into an experiment, maybe for another time. So, so let's say we want to study plants. What is something interesting about plants that we could use as variable?
The speed in which they grow.
Yeah, plant growth. So that would be a measurement. What kind of variable would that be?
Sunlight?
So amount of
Water.
sunlight.
Or water.
Because that's something we can change, how much we water the plants.
Right.
So if we can change it, it's what variable?
Independent.
Independent, right? So that's what we would be changing throughout the experiment and seeing the effect on plant growth, right?
Independent variable.
Yeah, that's perfect. You guys just designed an experiment right there.
Wow.
That's the first step to the scientific method and experimental design. So yeah, for homework, we're going to come up with 3 more sets of variables and identify what they are, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Sabharwal.